When I interviewed Sammy the Bull last time, we talked about Jimmy Hoffa.
Okay.
And he said he knows for a fact that the Genovese Mafia killed Jimmy Hoffa. You talked about the Jimmy Hoffa murder, and you said the Irishman is just nonsense. And I've heard this multiple times from different mob guys that I've interviewed.
No, he's not. He has nothing to do with Jimmy Hoffa.
You said it was some Genovese guys.
Yeah.
Do you know that pretty much for sure, or is this just a guess?
For a fact, but I wasn't there. I can't say I was there, but
yeah.
I know what I'm talking about. I was on the bus at the time. I know everything that went on there with that. It wasn't them. It wasn't them.
You know, I would agree with that when you think about it, because this whole beef was with Tony Provenzano, Tony Pro, and he was a Genovese powerful captain. And you know, I don't believe anything with that movie. With the I didn't even watch
Irishman.
it. I didn't even watch it. But when
I
was in prison,
everyone I talked to said it's all nonsense.
Yeah, but I was in the prison. This was back in the '90s. I don't know when it was. I've been, you know, could have been 05-ish. But I read that book. I Heard You Paint Houses.
Yeah.
And I knew that book was kind of bullshit. And then obviously when the movie came out, I never watched it, but I just knew it was going to be bullshit. But I would say definitely, from what I always heard, and I don't have no inside information on that, but Tony Provenzano was a major, major enemy of Hoffa. And back then, you can't put your hands on a made guy. That lasted all the way up until early 2000s. Even, you know, if you put your hand on a made guy, there was a guy, Billy Grasso, there was a beef in our area. He was a notorious underboss of the Patriarchas, and they had an argument, and there was a made guy in our area, Gaetano Milano, and this guy, Tony Liquori, put his hands on him, not in a bad way, just to keep him away from the argument and everything. And the guy told him, he goes, "You're lucky." He goes, "You ever put your hands on one of us again, I'll chop him off." And that's just how it was. So he put his hands on the guy, Provenzano, from what they say, and that's another thing, a reason I could assume that he got killed.
You mean Hoffa put his hands on
Yeah, on the guy.
Was it like an argument that turned into a fist fight? Or?
I don't know. I just know they had bad blood from everything that you read about and hear about. And not from inside knowledge, but I heard that there was 2 guys with the Genovese family that ended up killing them. I mean, that's nothing that I know personally or secretly, but it would make sense that, you know, that being that it was a Genovese family with the unions, especially, you wanted back in with the unions. Now you're messing with all 5 family, you know, the whole, never mind 5, back then, there was like probably 19 active families. The unions were a big part of that. So he was upsetting a lot of people there. He was fighting with a major guy in the Genovese family. It would make sense that if there was the Genovese family with this guy, Tony Pro, that he would send a couple of guys from the Genovese family. Detroit would set him up. The car he got into would be a Detroit setup. The shooters were probably the Genovese guys. And wherever he went after that, who knows?
I mean, how were bodies disposed of during that era? I remember Michael Franzese, he claims he knows what happened, but he wouldn't say it. He would say Hoffa's in a very wet place right now.
You know, if you know, then what's this big secret? Everyone's dead that was involved in it. And, you know, I mean, it's not like you were involved in it. Yeah. And if I knew where he was and I had knowledge, I'm not going to get in trouble by saying, yeah, he's in the ocean or anything, you know?
Yeah.
So, but getting rid of bodies, the best way always is to having the body disappeared. If you ever are going to take part in a murder, you always want the body to never be seen. But that's hard to do in a lot of cases. It's easy to do with the mafia because we have rules. So if the boss calls you in or you got to go to a sit down, guy comes in like this room right here, and we're going to have a sit down, and these 2 guys come and shoot him. You know, he thinks he's having a beef over some gambling thing. Now we got the body here, and we got a hole dug somewhere. You know, some sickos, they like to cut them up and put them in garbage bags and get rid of it that way, you know. You have a hole. Some guys put them in acid. That guy Carneglia was putting bodies in acid. But the best way is getting a hole and having it ready. You know, you kill the guy. You have a team, whatever, the 2 guys, whatever, and then just bury them. And that's the best way to do it. The other way brings a lot of law enforcement heat, scrutiny, and I think a lot of, you hear a lot of stories, not just Hoffa, but back then, like I said, those people that Skyball killed, you never heard from them again.